Be True to Yourself by Susan Sharpe of Balmain, 2041. Narrated by Janine Penfold. She was the new girl. Her mother had done her best with the required school uniform. Brown shoes, white blouse, blue V-neck jumper and fawn skirt. Sadly, the Dunlop suitcase, so accepted at her last school, stood out like a sore thumb. The vinyl bag slung over the shoulder was the local look. It didn't really matter. She was a little bit older than most of the other students. A little more mature, reserved, apparently confident. With that air of confidence and reserve, she would have appeared different and would have stood out regardless of the correct uniform attire. It wasn't too bad. Although she missed her friends and teachers from her previous school, she soon found a group of girls who liked similar subjects and were serious about their studies. She even had a rapport with her teachers who appreciated what she had to offer. Somehow, she attracted the childish, teasing attention of some boys in her year. Rude comments as she walked by. One boy even left a photo on her desk. It was a cutout of himself and her, taken from the class photo. She was disdainful, totally ignoring them all. She kept the photo. After all, she looked quite attractive in it. Years and years later, she would understand and be more sympathetic about the lack of confidence some teenage boys had with girls. The silly things they would do to get a girl's attention, thinking that this would show the girl that they were interested in them. Think that teasing didn't mean insults. It was their way of showing interest. A kind of courting. She knew what she wanted in life. She knew where she was going and was careful that certain things would not become obstacles, stop her, or hold her back. She wanted to travel, to work overseas, to live in foreign countries, and experience other cultures and languages. She didn't think about success and riches, although they seemed to come her way. Opportunities too. Her first boyfriend was older, mature, intelligent, and from another country. It was her second language, and her goal was to work and live there. She was growing up, and he was a patient person. He got on well with her parents, and he respected her determination. Compatibility was harder, of course. Different cultures and age. She was a flirt and liked attention. He seemed to be possessive. The relationship ended again and again. She fitted in a university life and a normal social life, but then they would get back together. The reserve remained. She kept her own counsel. Apart from her family and old friends, she wasn't really one for sharing who she really was. She had a path to follow and would not be diverted. The relationship lasted longer than it should have. She finally reached a level of maturity that enabled her to move on. She left and never looked back. Years and years later, she thought about the arguments, the incompatibility of the relationship. She also remembered the good things. She tried to contact him. She wanted, after so long, to find out what had happened to him. To apologize for how she had been. So young, so selfish, so determined, and so self-focused. There was no contact to be found. She came back home to set up a new life for herself. She had fulfilled many of her ambitions. She had met many different types of people. Rich experiences had given her a broad understanding of others and also of herself. She was brought home because of her father's illness. Their relationship, while filled with mutual respect, had always been between two strong-minded individuals. A father who had no real guidebook to bring up a daughter, and the daughter who had never accepted that being 6 or 7, or any age, meant that the father was the one who knew best. She had fought him over the years. She had 3 more years to spend with her father. They learned to respect one another, appreciate what they shared, and enjoy a loving father-daughter relationship. He died, and she was grief-stricken. Years later, she would understand grief better. She realized how sad experiences early in her life had influenced her. Those experiences had given her the strong determination to be who she was and do what she had to do. She met him when she was in her early 30s. Their paths had unknowingly crossed at different times. Same kindergarten, same university. She liked him, found him easy to talk to, interesting, and interested. She wasn't looking for a serious relationship. She still had big plans, places to go. He didn't try to tie her down. He didn't preempt, push, or cling. She went on some short-term overseas contracts. He came and visited. He waited. She came back, and the relationship continued to grow. She was still the same reserved, self-possessed, independent person. She bristled and fought back if she thought someone wasn't taking her seriously, wanted to tie her down or fence her in. She knew that it hurt him sometimes when she gave the impression that she could walk away anytime with barely a backward glance. They stayed together, a strong unit, good mates who kept each other on their toes. They went on adventures together. He was so tolerant, and she trusted him. Sometimes she suspected that he would have been very like one of those teasing boys at high school, shy and tentative with girls. She wondered if those boys too had grown into someone special with the right person. Years and years later, she saw him there, waiting for her. The smile, his face lighting up. Her heart smiled. She realized they had grown old together. The end.